Hey y'all, this is Tracy from Tracy's Trendy Decor. I'm excited to share this video with you because it's full of firsts for me. This is my first time using the Dollar Tree's wire wreath form that looks like a witch's hat, and I'm also trying out with using an overhead filming angle. While editing, I noticed that the bottom part of the wreath was occasionally out of view, but I've worked on the footage to make sure you can follow along and get the gist of what's going on. I had so much fun making this Scarecrow hat wreath. Starting with some burlap garland I found in my craft stash, I folded it in half and zip tied the end of the top of the witch's hat to get started. I can't wait to show you how it all came together. I had to fiddle with the burlap garland just to get it right. It wasn't that hard. It was just a little bit, I guess, time consuming to begin with because I had never done this before. And I had to fold it in half, and I kept trying to fold it around and pull it tight and fold it around and pull it tight. And it ended up turning out fine. I was pleased with how it looked at the end. I just had to work with it and turn it over back and forth until I got it the way that I wanted it to look. It wasn't that hard at all. And I started from the top, obviously, and went down to the bottom to the brim of the hat. And I ended up having to, I think, put a zip tie in the middle to kind of try to pull that part tight. And at the very end, I pulled the back kind of tight and put a couple of zip ties through the back. I just chose the ugly side and went with it and put the zip ties in the back and the hanger for the wreath in the back too, towards the end. This burlap garland, I'm not even sure where I got it from, but it was actually really nice. It was just kind of messy. Anytime you work with burlap, it's kind of messy, and you really should wear a mask for safety because you shouldn't breathe the burlap in, for sure. But as you can see here, I'm almost done to the bottom of the wreath form, and it's looking pretty good, I have to say. I was really pleased with how it came out, and especially when I get everything on it, it looks really nice. I'm just at the end there going to zip tie the bottom on there towards the brim of the hat. And then I was just trying to straighten it up and make sure that it looked the way that I wanted it to look. And that's the ugly side on the back. You can see here, that's where I put the zip tie on the back, and I just added a little bit of hot glue to hold it in place, and I used my scissors there to hold the hot glue down so I wouldn't burn my fingers through the burlap. Here is where I attached some tinsel stems, just spaced them across the brim of the hat and twisted them on. I had watched a couple of videos, and it looked like this was similar to what other people were doing with theirs. I really wasn't sure. I just kind of placed them where I thought that I might need them when I'm putting the Deco Mesh bundles on, and it worked out pretty well. I ended up taking, right now looks like I put another zip tie into the bottom of the burlap and cut that off just to hold it onto the brim better. And I'm going to take some hot glue and just kind of put some glue on the frame around where I twisted the tinsel stems on. That way it just holds them in place, and it kind of kept them from shifting when I was inputting the Deco Mesh bundles in. I pushed it back out of the way. There's the the Deco Mesh that I used. It was from the Hobby Lobby. I think it's 6-inch Deco Mesh, and I cut those in 8-inch strips. I think you can get the gist of what I'm doing here. I'm sorry that it's out of the view. I hope next time I videotape like this, I will be more cautious of the view of the camera, but I think you can still see. I'm using my rotary cutter to cut 8-inch pieces of Deco Mesh, and I'm just kind of throwing them to the side. I didn't know how many I needed, so I just started cutting, and then when I got so many done, I just went ahead and started rolling them up into the rolls. As you can see, I'm just measuring 8 inches, cutting, measuring 8 inches, cutting, and throwing them to the side. And then I moved my Bow Dabra over which I used to make bows, but it also holds the rolls really good. Oh, right there, I'm cutting ribbon. I had to cut ribbon. I think you could get by with 9 or 10 inches. I think I cut 11 inches, but it ended up being kind of longer than I needed, but I was afraid I would rather have too much than not enough. So now I'm making those rolls. And there I made that first bundle, and I used 3 rolls and then put a ribbon in, and then just took a half of a tinsel stem and twisted that together so it would stay in that bundle. And you can see there I'm putting a ribbon right on top. It's just 3 rolls and a piece of ribbon and then one half of a tinsel stem. And I just keep doing that until I make up bundles with all of the deco mesh that I had cut so far. I had no clue how much I needed, so I just thought, well, I'll just do it a little bit at a time as I go. And I was kind of excited to see what it was going to look like. You could do it either way. So now I'm just adding some of the bundles right onto the frame. They went on pretty easy. I had to keep turning it over to twist them on better. The tinsel stems that I had hot glued on there, they did help to keep the bundles in place when I got to the end there, so they didn't shift. So I think it was beneficial to put those on there. There I'm showing you, I decided to get out my guide for my ribbon. I think it came from Hot Mesh Moms, I believe. And it just, you roll it around the 10-inch mark, which is, I think I have 2 different ones that has 4 different sizes. And I use 10 inches on this and just wrap it around, and then you slide it off and cut it on each end, and you just, you cut it really quickly that way. And now I'm just cutting more mesh, and I just thought I would show you again so you can kind of see in case you hadn't done that before. I love my rotary cutter. It's really good. Obviously, if you use a rotary cutter, be really careful. They are really sharp and they will cut you, and you should always use one with a self-healing mat, which is what I have underneath of mine. You do not have to do that at all. You can use scissors, and you could use like painter's tape to measure out. It does make it nice to have the self-healing mat and the rotary cutter though. Here I'm just continuing to put bundles onto the brim of the hat, and I really love how it's coming out. I love the sunflower ribbon, and I'm just really excited to see it because like I said, I had never done this before, and I just thought it looked so cute. So I'm just excited to get it done. I kept going across a little bit at a time, and then I would just go back and cut more and do the same thing over again, making the bundles. Right now I'm still just making bundles. Rolls first, and then you make the bundles out of the rolls. You see that sunflower sitting there. I was thinking about using it. It came from the Dollar Tree. They're really cute. They got glitter on them. But at the end, when I went to go place it on the wreath, I just thought it took away from the simplicity of the Scarecrow wreath, so I decided not to use it. You'll have to let me know what you think, if you think I should have used it or not used it. I think it would have been okay. I just ended up liking it kind of plain when I got finished. I'm going to find something to use those sunflowers on though, because I really do like them. Here I'm continuing to make bundles, which I think you can at least see part of it at the bottom. I tried to make sure my hands were in everything that I edited, so you could at least see partly what I was doing. I'm still adding those in on the bottom row. I started on the bottom row with a brim, and I just keep adding in the bundles. And when I get to the tinsel stem that I had glued on, I kind of just lay the bundle there in between the 2 pieces on that, and then just wrap it around the bundle so that it stays there where that I hot glued that at. So that kind of gives it a stopping point, and then you have a starting point when you start again. Kind of gives you little sections. So I think that was good that I did those, that I glued those on. You'll have to let me know how you do yours. If you made a wreath out of this, which hat form, how do you put your deco mesh on the bottom? Do you hot glue tinsel stems or chenille stems on there like I did, or is there something else that's easier or better for you? I would really be interested in knowing, because just as much as I hope you learn from me, I'm hoping to learn lots of new things from you, and I really appreciate you watching this for sure. So I'm almost down to the, looks like the end of the bottom row, and yep, right there, I'm at the end, and I think I'm tying on to the last one at the bottom row, and then I'll be starting the top row. Just a reminder, this technique is rough on your hands. So if you can use some sort of finger protection, like those finger rubber tips or gloves, I would suggest it, just because my hands are really sore just from working with all of the deco mesh and twisting so many of the tinsel stems. So just forewarning, you have to grow tough hands sometimes when you make wreaths. Here I'm still just filling in. I've made it all the way across the top row, and I think I'm filling in almost at the end of the top row. And I think it looks so pretty with the sunflower ribbon coming out. I originally was going to cut the ribbon first in slants, but then I decided just to leave it straight until I give my wreath a haircut, is what I call it, at the end. I like to take scissors and cut the ribbons how I want them. And I'd rather have them too long so that I can cut them at the length that I would like them after I get finished. There I'm just trying to fluff up a little bit too as I'm adding more bundles in. It looks like, I was thinking that was when I was at the end of the first row, but I think I was in one side of the first row, and now I am going towards the center of the first row. I'm trying to finish up my bundles in the wreath. And it is looking so pretty. I hope you think so too. I'm still just sticking those in there. I tried to get it kind of tight. I like my wreaths to be really full. That way you can't see through them, and the deco mesh doesn't move easily. So I like to stuff as much as I can in there. I did end up using 3 rolls of that Hobby Lobby deco mesh. So you definitely need 3 rows of it at least to do. I think I had a little bit left of the 3rd row, but not much. And I cut those again in 8-inch pieces. You could probably go a little longer or a little shorter depending on your preference. I really wasn't sure. I just went with it. When I looked at it, I thought 8 inches looked like it would work. So, and it did. It looks fine. And I like that deco mesh from Hobby Lobby. I think it's pretty good deco mesh. Where do you get your deco mesh from? I do order some from Craft Outlet for myself. I don't usually prefer Dollar Tree deco mesh. I do use it sometimes. It can be pretty and things, but it's just not as good of a mesh. I'm sure if you've worked with it at all, you know what I'm talking about. It frays really easily, although all deco mesh frays somewhat. Here I just sat the hat up and I'm trying to straighten it up and pull the ribbons out. All of the ribbons kind of stuck to the deco mesh because that ribbon was kind of like burlap ribbon. So I kind of had to pull all of the ribbons out. They came out fine. Once I pulled them out, they stayed where they needed to go. But they were all kind of like shoved down in there where I had been working with it. So I'm just kind of fluffing it and making sure all the rolls are coming out to the right side because some of them had fallen through to the back. And I just made sure to work with it and push them all back out as I'm putting in the very last couple of bundles. I think when I was doing that, I figured out there was a couple of places that needed bundles. And I sat it back up and just tried to kind of look to see where everything's at. And I just am there pushing the rolls back through to the front and setting it back up again and still straightening ribbons. You are straightening ribbons for a while on this one, especially if you're using burlap ribbon like I did. But I just love that sunflower ribbon. It's one of my favorite ribbons I have. And I actually used the whole roll of that one. I think I have one more left of that ribbon. I haven't even looked to see if they still sell it. I should. Here I continue to pull the ribbons out and kind of place them where I think they need to go. You can tell some of them are long because I need to trim them still, which I will do here soon. I just wanted to pull them all out first and see how many I had and where they were at, and try to place them evenly so that the ribbon is distributed across the wreath evenly. And I did that throughout the whole wreath and just kept pulling the rolls forward and pulling the ribbons out. And you can see I had cut some of them in a slant to begin with, and left some of them, I decided they were going to be too long, so then I decided to just leave them straight until the end, like I said before. I hope I haven't repeated myself too much. I'm still getting used to all this video stuff, so please bear with me. I will get better as I go, I promise. Practice makes perfect, my mom always said. Here I'm snipping, giving the wreath its haircut that I was talking about. I'm just cutting at a slant, at a diagonal slant, with all the wreath ribbon. And I think it just looks better that way. You could have very well left it straight, especially for a scarecrow wreath. It's kind of scarecrows are kind of messy anyway, so I think it would have been fine to leave it straight. I am just so used to cutting it at a slant. I just went ahead and did that, and I really liked it that way. And I had to keep cutting some off because I kind of decided I liked it a little bit shorter. So you definitely wouldn't need to cut 11-inch, not even 10-inch strips of ribbon. I think you could get away with 8 or 9 inches easily, just for future reference. When I do another one, I will definitely cut my ribbon shorter. And I just keep having to pull out the ribbon. It was all kind of got hidden in there, and I had to pull it out. You can see it just keeps coming out more and more because it was hidden in the middle of the bundles of rolls. And I just keep cutting away, trying to make it look better. And this takes a little bit of time to do this because it's actually a really big wreath. You'll be surprised when you see it. It's a really tall wreath. And I know that some people make witches' hats with those legs. I bought some legs from the Dollar Tree. I just think that will be a really big wreath with the legs hanging down because this wreath is really large, just with the hat decorated. Here I'm setting it up and looking, and I really like it, the look of it. Now I'm going to make a bow. I started with some burlap ribbon, and I like to use my bow dabber to make a bow, but you can make a bow any way that you please. Obviously, there's a lot of ways to make bows. This is my favorite tool to use for bows. Obviously, you just make a tail and then put it through and twist it, and always make sure the pretty side's out, although with burlap it really doesn't matter. I went ahead and made 3 loops on each side because I like that look. And then I brought and made another tail to match the first tail with the burlap. Here I'm just trying to adjust the ribbon loops out so that I can fluff them better when I get finished. Now I'm just going to add a layer of the sunflower ribbon and do the same thing. Just place it in, twist it, fold it over itself, make sure the pretty side's out, bring it back down, and do the same over again. I just like to double check that my loops are even. I do that by folding those up and making sure that they look even, or you can also measure on your not on your healing mat or self-healing mat, but I think it's easy sometimes just to eyeball it. But you do whatever works better for you. I'm also going to make 3 loops on each side with the sunflower ribbon, and I really like this look for a bow, with starting with 3 loops and then do another 3 loops about a 1/2 inch to 1 inch shorter on each side. And then I'm just kind of fluffing a little bit. I won't fluff till the end when I get it on, but I like to try to move them around a little bit as I go and put them where I think they need to be. Then I just took another piece of the burlap ribbon to make the last outside bow, and I just put 1 loop on each side for that. And now I am sliding in a zip tie. I probably could have laid that down first. I always forget that for some reason, but it's not hard to slide it under. Then I just took the zip tie and pulled it out, and I went on and kind of clasp it together or connect it together, and then I kind of leave it loose and then flip it to the other side, and then put another zip tie through. You can see there, so that way when I pull the first one tight, the other zip tie is there to be able to attach it. And I just clip the end of the zip tie that's hanging there. Now I'm just fluffing my bow. I just love these colors together, the burlap and sunflowers. I think that is so pretty, and I think it does remind me of a scarecrow. And I'm just really in love with this wreath. I want to keep it for myself. I am here just, again, fluffing. And I think I ended up tying a little piece of the sunflower ribbon around the middle of that wreath. And now I was just trying to, I was going to put it through the burlap on the hat. And it took me a second to decide exactly where to place it through with the burlap. And for some reason, the zip tie, it should have been the opposite for me to work with it well. But it ended up being okay. And I put it on there on the, like on the left side offset a little bit because I thought that that looked the best. And now I'm just fluffing it up and getting ready to trim the tails. And so I'm just slant cutting the tails. And then I dovetail the ends of the larger ribbon because that first burlap ribbon that I used is, I think it's 2.5 inch ribbon. And the other is the more narrow ribbon, I think an inch or inch and a half. And I think the bow turned out really pretty, don't you? I love to make bows. They're one of my favorite things to do. I like all different types of bows. So now I'm making a little bundle poof, I call it. I did I think 4 rolls of the mesh, and then I put the some raffia in it. Here I'm trying to put that sunflower on, and I just wanted to use it so bad, but I decided I didn't care for it. There you see I put the raffia at the top. I really appreciate you watching this video, and if you would share it and tell your friends that like to craft, I hope to have a lot of more fun things to come. And I really would appreciate if you had subscribed to my channel, or at least just share it, or just hit like. And thanks for watching. And I really do appreciate it. Isn't it a beautiful wreath?